how do I factor a simple trinomial? Now, there are a few ways out there. Some people do it with trial and error, but a lot of people do teach it using the product sum method or this product sum integer method. To do that, we're going to look at the coefficient of the x term. So it's ideal if your terms are in descending order, so your x squared, then your x, and then your constant. If not, I would rearrange that so it is. And so I like to put an a on top of the -4, the coefficient of x, and an m on top of the -21. Now again, a lot of teachers teach that as product and sum, and then sometimes they'll do a chart, which is great. I do AM just because it's easy for me to remember, kind of like on a clock. AM is morning, PM is afternoon, so then I remember A goes before M. Another way is alphabetically, A goes before M, so adding and multiplying. So I like to write that out off to the side. It's easier to think through it when it's kind of written separately. Your goal is to find two numbers that multiply to -21 and add to -4. To do that, start with looking at numbers that multiply to -21. And actually start with finding numbers that multiply to 21. Forget the sign for now. And all you're looking for are numbers that could potentially add or subtract to get you to a 4. So for example, and you can write this down as trial and error, numbers that multiply to 21 could be 1 and 21. Well, that has no potential to add or subtract to 4. Again, I'm ignoring the negative sign for now, so I'm going to get rid of that. I move on to 3 and 7. And it does not add to 4, but it has the potential to subtract to 4. So I think this is it. Now I'm going to say, in order to satisfy the criteria that the addition has to end up with a negative answer, I'm going to have to put my negative sign here, so that 3 minus 7 gives me my -4. When you think you have your answers, I recommend taking a quick moment to double check that you got the right answers. So do these two numbers add to -4? Yes. Do they multiply to -21? Yes. Once you have your numbers, factoring is as simple as x and x, and the reason that in simple trinomial there's an x and an x in the front is because that's what's needed to get your x squared when you FOIL. And then I just take this number and I put it in here. It needs a plus sign. And then I take this number and I put it in here. And that's my answer. Let's do another one. And for this one, I actually meant to write it this way. How would I factor a question like this? Well, I always have to check for common factoring first. This one did not have a common factor. I probably should have checked though. Over here, I do have a common factor, and my common factor is x. So we're going to common factor that x out first, and then we're going to focus on what's in here. So the x that I've just common factored out, that just continues to hang outside if I have multiple steps. We should only have one more step, so I'll erase these. So now I'm focusing on what's on the inside here, and once again, it's a simple trinomial because I don't have a coefficient other than 1 in front. And I'm going to do this a bit faster. Add to -5, multiply to -6. My numbers are, and this is a really tricky one because people often try 3 and 2, and they say, yep, that can add or subtract to 5. Now, in order for that to add to -5, they both need to be negative, and if they're both negative, they would multiply to a +6 instead. So this one's kind of tricky. It's not 3 and 2. This one is going to be 1 and 6. And we'll do our quick double check. Do they add to -5? Well, not yet. I guess I need a negative there. Now they add to -5, and a positive and a negative do multiply to a -6. I've got my answers now. So now within the bracket, I say x and x. I'm going to put my +1 in one of them and my -6 in the other. And because for multiplication, the order doesn't matter in terms of which goes first, these can be switched, and so can these. And that's how we